I've got an HT 131 pole saw by Stihl. This one was actually in the shop a few weeks ago. The customer needed a new short block on it, so I replaced the short block. And today, unfortunately, the customer decided to not strap it down on their truck, and as they drove away, it fell out and the shaft came apart and bent part of the shaft. So I'm going to attempt to heat up the metal and hopefully bring it back and put it back together. So let me show you how that's done. These saws are really greasy, so I always make sure I put gloves on. Otherwise, things get pretty sloppy and make a mess. I do want to show you guys my bench here. The reason I built this bench is so that way I could work on pole saws. So before, I had just a table in the shop, and of course pole saws, just being the nature of how big they are a royal pain in the butt to work on, and I didn't want to have to work on them on the ground. So I built this bench, got it long enough where it would work for pole saws when I'm working on them. So I do have a pretty nice setup here now. But let me show you the shaft. Turn this around here. You can see right here, this is where the bend is. I'm gonna attempt to bend that back, heat it up a little bit, but it's separated. I'll show you guys how to get that all back together. So the first thing I'm gonna wanna do is take everything off of the head unit. That way it's easier to work on, and then I can put it back on when I'm done. So you're gonna start here. There's just 2 screws. They're the 2 that have the little hole. That's gonna move this. And then this end right here, up by the power head. All it has is just 1 screw in there holding that on. And I'm gonna slide that head right off. So that way it's easier to work on. I'm not fighting that the whole time. Now, let's take this off if I can get it off. See what kind of damage we got going on. And see if we can fix it. Yeah, that one's on there pretty good. So right there, we got a pretty good sized bend. I don't know if you can see that. I'm gonna try to take a little heat to it and see if I can get that bent back out. I just need to extend this a little more, get these springs out of the way. All right. So like I said, this fell out of the back of a truck. This shows you a little bit more how bad it's bent. So I'm gonna apply some heat to it. I mean, there's plastic parts on here, so I can't get too carried away with it, but let's see if heat does the trick. So I just want to evenly get heat all the way around there. I mean, these are aluminum shafts, so it's not going to take much. Sometimes you can fix them, sometimes you have to replace the shaft. So let's see if we can save the customer some money and just heat it up. You can't really pry on this with pliers. All the different ribbing on there, everything has to be exactly how it is in order to fit back in there correctly. So we're just going to focus on getting it a little warm there. And let's just see what we can do with that. not too shabby. So I think that turned out pretty good. It's not 100% perfect, but everything flows right over it. So I think that will actually take care of it. So now I got to go ahead and get everything put back together. And I just put it back the same way I took it off. So I'm going to slide the first spring section in here. Get it all the way up there. Get it so you guys can see it. And then we got this spacer right here. That's going to fit in there. We'll do our next spring. And push that all the way down to that end. So next thing we got to do is shove this back into the tube. And these are sort of a pain. They're hard to see what you're doing. But if you shine a little light in there, you can line it up pretty good. So these have grooves on the side. So there's going to be sections of this tube. Let's see if I can show you that. If you look right there, there's a section. There's another one on top. So this has two grooves right there. I'm going to have to slide that in and get them to align. So see if I can get this where you guys can see it here. Got to do that. And then we just keep compressing this down. Keep working those springs in. And then you just got to rotate it. And now see how those grooves fit in there. Bring that all the way down. And then this is what's going to secure it all together. Everything where you want it. It's still a little loose, but that's as tight as I can get it on there. So now we're going to go back, put the power head on there. Give it a test run and see if it works. So with these shafts have a square end. So right here's going to be square. Inside the clutch drum, it's going to accept this. So you got a male end here, a female end. You have to make sure this is seated inside there all the way, because if it isn't, it's not going to rotate your chain. So I'll show you guys how to do that. Doesn't like sticking too much here. There we go. So again, this sleeve, you're gonna want this nice and tight up there. Inside there, there's gonna be 2 more little alignment marks. Get those in there. That will allow you to get all the way down there with that. Now you can come in with this. And like I said, these are a pain in the butt to do. No super easy way to do it. So when you get these new at a dealer, the dealer gets these, they get the pleasure to unbox them and get the shaft in place. So what I do is I just turn it, go back and forth, and eventually it'll drop in there once you get it aligned. Sometimes I gotta pull them off, try to line it that way. Sort of a poor design. I wish there was an easier way to do it. So if I look inside here, north to south, so I'm just gonna line my shaft the same way it's inside there. There we go. Okay, get our screw back on there. Got this cup on this side. So now I'm gonna test it, make sure I got it aligned. I'll have you guys watch that clutch drum right in here. It's sort of hard to see, but you should be able to see it move when I rotate the chain. See if I can get this where I can see it. When they get rusty, they are hard to see. But there you go. You can see that clutch drum spinning. All I'm doing down here is just rotating the chain back and forth. Make sure it's seated in there. And that's how I tell that works. So other than that, reconnect the handle there and it should be good to go. So a little bit of a pain, like I said. After you do enough of these, you get used to them. But you are definitely going to want to have a nice long bench like I've got here. Because if you don't plan on rolling around on the ground, playing on the ground, trying to get these done, you can't really work off of a 4 or 6 foot bench. You got to have a long area where you can stretch that shaft out, get the power head back on, and do everything that you're supposed to do on it. So, yeah, biggest thing with these, putting those shafts back together, like I said, there's 2 little slots on those plastic pieces that are indented, and then on the metal parts, there's 2 nubs. That plastic is gonna fit right on those 2 nubs in order to sink them into the shaft. So if you don't have those aligned, it's not gonna go back together right. So make sure you're aligning them right. And then also, take a look at this. this is how this is supposed to butt up against there. So if for some reason you've got a big gap in there, you do not have that seated properly, because inside this piece right here, there's 2 more of those little plastic bumps on a plastic piece that you need to be able to slide into that shaft. So if you don't have those aligned, you can't get everything to go back together. The spring assembly will come apart as soon as you go to use it, and you'll be cussing this thing till next Friday. So that is the HT131 pole saw. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, just align those and then double check your clutch. Make sure you're getting the shaft inside your clutch, and make sure it spins, rotates before you go and start it. Otherwise, you'll just hear a bunch of clinking and you'll be able to throttle up, but your chain won't spin. So that's all I got in this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.